Keir Starmer, is facing an avalanche of criticism for his audacious claim that he has no regrets about his first 5 months as Prime Minister. From skyrocketing unpopularity to a series of polarising policies, this statement has left political commentators and the public alike questioning his grip on reality. James Price, speaking on GB News, summed it up best. God, give me the self-confidence of Sir Keir Starmer. But that's just the beginning of this unravelling drama. Let's dive into the chaos. First, check out this explosive clip of the GB News panel reacting to Starmer's bold remarks.
He's no regrets about his first 5 months in office. I mean, come on.
I mean, look, God give me the self-confidence of Sir Keir Starmer. After becoming the most unpopular Prime Minister, I think, ever in his first 5 months. He's done worse than Brown, worse than Liz Truss as well in terms of lack of popularity. He says he wouldn't change anything about it. I think the problem here is that if you were doing really deep structural changes, OK, they'd be really unpopular for a while, but they would bear fruit down the line, then fair enough. But he's doing really unpopular things that's going to make the country worse. And therefore, I think that his confidence in himself is perhaps misplaced.
And just like that, the discussion exploded into a firestorm of criticism. Keir Starmer's no regrets remark before the liaison committee was meant to project confidence, but it has instead amplified accusations of arrogance and detachment. Asked by Labour MP Dame Meg Hillier if there was anything he would have done differently, Starmer replied firmly, "No. We had to do tough stuff. We're getting on with it." He even doubled down, saying he was very pleased to be leading from a position of power rather than spending nights losing every vote in Parliament. But critics are not buying it. GB News' James Price was quick to dismantle Starmer's narrative, describing him as the most unpopular Prime Minister, I think, ever in his first 5 months. The comparison to former leaders like Gordon Brown and Liz Truss, a particularly stinging indictment, highlights how Starmer's actions, from inheritance tax raids to controversial spending cuts, have alienated vast swathes of the public. Price didn't hold back, pointing to Labour's policies as the root cause of Starmer's woes. If you were making deeply unpopular but necessary changes that would bear fruit in the long run, I'd understand. But he's doing things that are unpopular and making the country worse. That's the issue. On the other side of the debate, Scarlett Maguire attempted to soften the blow. She praised Labour's minimum wage hike, calling it a rare win for the party. What they've done with the minimum wage is hugely beneficial for young people. Those on lower incomes will spend more, and that's good for the economy. Yet, her efforts to cast Starmer's leadership in a positive light were met with fierce pushback. One of the most contentious issues is Labour's inheritance tax policy, which critics argue unfairly targets farmers. Maguire tried to frame the policy as affecting only a small, wealthy demographic, citing public figures like Jeremy Clarkson as examples. But GB News host Stephen Dixon wasn't convinced. Defending the indefensible, he called it, sparking a heated exchange that underscored the policy's unpopularity. Even Maguire conceded that Labour could have handled some issues better, particularly the winter fuel payment controversy. Suggesting that high-income pensioners should have received less, while lower-income pensioners got more, she argued that the policy's rollout had been poorly managed. "I think it should have been taxed differently," she said, "so those who need it most actually benefit." But these attempts to rationalise Starmer's decisions failed to quell the overarching sentiment that his leadership has been a misstep after misstep, with little indication of a coherent long-term strategy. Critics argue that his focus on short-term gains and controversial policies has eroded public trust and left his government vulnerable to attacks from both the opposition and within his own party. The inheritance tax policy, for instance, has sparked outrage in rural constituencies where farmers feel betrayed by a party they once trusted. Meanwhile, Labour's handling of welfare reforms has been branded chaotic, with accusations that the government is prioritising optics over substance. But it's not just domestic policy that's haunting Starmer's government. On the international stage, the Chagos Islands dispute has thrown his administration into a precarious position. The Chagos Islands saga has been simmering for decades, but a surprise claim by the Maldives has reignited tensions. Maldivian President Mohamed Muizzu's bold assertion that the archipelago has stronger historical ties to his nation has blindsided British officials. In his statement, Muizu declared, "The ancient writings of our sultans show that the Chagos are more connected to the Maldives than to any other nation." This unexpected move has complicated ongoing negotiations between the UK and Mauritius, with both sides scrambling to finalise a treaty. The stakes couldn't be higher. Diego Garcia, the largest island in the archipelago, hosts a critical UK-US military base that plays a pivotal role in international security. Conservative MPs and US officials alike are urging caution. Reform UK leader Nigel Farage warned of very deep disquiet within the Trump administration regarding the handover of Diego Garcia to Mauritius. Marco Rubio, Trump's likely pick for Secretary of State, has gone even further, suggesting that such a move could jeopardize US security and embolden China's influence in the region. Back in the UK, the issue has become a political minefield for Starmer. While his government has emphasized the importance of maintaining security partnerships, critics argue that the rushed negotiations risk undermining Britain's strategic interests. Adding to Starmer's woes is the growing scrutiny of Labour's approach to political donations. Conservative peer Lord Sean Bailey has accused the government of proposing tighter donation rules as a reaction to Reform UK's growing popularity. During a recent GB News interview, Bailey claimed that Starmer is worried about Reform's rising influence, especially after its leader Nigel Farage's high-profile meeting with Elon Musk. Bailey didn't mince words, suggesting that Labour's timing was suspicious. If this was between elections and nobody had offered a big donation to anybody else, it'd be an easier question to have, he said. But now, it's disingenuous. Bailey also took aim at Labour's historical reliance on union funding, implying that any reform to political donations would inevitably lead to scrutiny of those financial relationships. If you're going to reform funding, people will start looking at Labour's ties to the unions. That's a Pandora's box they don't want to open. All of these issues, unpopular domestic policies, international disputes, and questions about party funding, paint a picture of a government struggling to maintain its footing. And yet, through it all, Keir Starmer insists he has no regrets. This unwavering confidence has left critics exasperated and supporters scrambling for explanations. Is it resilience, arrogance, or simply a leader doubling down in the face of mounting challenges? Whatever the answer, one thing is clear. Starmer's first 5 months in office have been anything but smooth sailing. For now, the Labour leader shows no signs of backing down. But with public trust dwindling and political rivals circling, the question remains, how much longer can he maintain this no-regrets stance before it all comes crashing down? If you're as intrigued by these twists and turns as we are, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. From Starmer's no-regrets drama to the Chagos Islands geopolitical intrigue, we're bringing you every detail. Stay tuned for more scandalous updates.